the secret to like perfect hair is toothbrushes. Yeah, especially when your hair's up. I love how we're like having this. You've got great hair.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Really? What was your name, sorry?
William.
William, that was it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No toothbrushes though, so maybe I'll just
I
move
love
it to
it.
the
It's
next
like
level.
it's very like I just woke up like this. I love it.
Rolling.
Yes. Perfect. Yeah, so how are you? How are you feeling?
I'm great.
Good to be back in Jordan?
Absolutely. Well, you say be back. I wasn't here the first
You
time.
weren't here the first time?
No.
Oh, really?
Because my character
that's
isn't
true. You're
needed.
in the palace,
I know.
right.
I'm in the palace. I know. And do you know what the worst part was? Apparently, that was the best part of filming was Jordan, and I was not there. So I was
just
like,
hearing about
thanks,
this party
guys.
from Mina.
Yeah, I know.
Major FOMO.
Exactly, FOMO. Definitely.
Perfect. So I want to go all the way back to the beginning. So I know you had a very clear idea of what this character, what you wanted her to be, right? So what was your Jasmine that you ideated, and how much did that evolve over this process? Like, is the one that you had in your mind the one that ended up being on screen?
I think it was. I think, of course, it changes and it progresses, but I think ultimately the foundation of what I wanted to put out there is there. You know, I think that when obviously I got the breakdown through, it was kind of like, wow, what an opportunity to humanize a character. I think, you know, you're taking an animated character that was, 27 years ago.
Yeah.
And I remember watching Princess Jasmine and feeling empowered. So I wanted to keep that same feeling, but just, I think it's about adapting and just making her, giving her more depth, making her more well-rounded, giving her more of a narrative, giving her more challenge as well. And her objective at the beginning of this movie is to lead. And I think it's really important for young girls to see a female just really pushing forward her own narrative and being active. So those were some of the things that I wanted to achieve. And I think that with the new plot point, I think that really helped in developing her character forward and making her even more ambitious.
Yeah. I mean, rewatching it, obviously I had the VHS and
Yeah, of course. So
the clamshell.
VHS.
Watched it over and over again. But watching it with my 2019 eyes, there's a lot of things that I didn't notice at the time.
Yes.
Like even just the fact that ultimately her journey is so that a man can give her permission to even be whatever she wants to be.
Right. Yeah, no, I think you're right in the sense that we have moved on in certain aspects, and we are, it's different now. And you're right, when I was watching it growing up, I think what's important is for the time, it made me feel empowered, but that doesn't mean there's not room to change and to adapt. I agree with what you said, that I think that what I want is that people watch this and kind of go, oh yeah, like she should be the leader. Like it makes sense, it makes logical sense. It's not something that's so far out there. I think that what I love is, I also love the fact that her father represents that journey of discovering that she does have what it takes. And I think that it's not that I don't think that her father, the Sultan, is, he loves her so much. I think he's just fearful. And I think that represents, and that's a reflection of sometimes society, right? We don't want to move forward just because we're scared. So I think that was a lovely journey, his character as well.
And I think the multiculturalism in this one, because if you go back to 1001 Nights, there's influences from India, there's influences from all over, across the Silk Road, and you get that I think most clearly with your character.
With my
because
character,
obviously we have an idea of all these other kingdoms for the first time.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, how much were you conscious of like all those different cultures interacting?
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I think for me, when I watched Princess Jasmine, I related to her. I saw myself in her, and I think there's something very powerful in that. I think there's something very powerful in seeing your own cultural culture reflected. And the great thing about this movie is I think there's things that lots of people can pick out and take with them or feel like they relate to, especially the younger generation. I think that's so key and so important. I think a good example of that is Michael Wilkinson, our incredible costume designer. Especially for my character, there is a lot of fusion going on. There's a lot of different references, and he was. And I think that, yes, I was, of course, aware, but I think that knowing that he was so specific and going to specific places for just this one piece of material that meant something, and seeing his mood boards of all these different cultural references, I was like, wow, you're just so... should I wait? I'm a wait.
Fun of an outdoor interview.
Yeah, I know.
So we'll just
great.
the rest of it, yeah.
It's great, yeah. so Michael Wilkinson really did go to so many different areas to find very, very specific things. And Gemma Jackson, similarly, our set designer, everyone was incredibly specific and detailed about what they were bringing to this project and understood that what it meant to us so many different people. And I'm just really proud of how diverse our cast is and how we represent these different cultures. I think it's something that's really important. Also busting these myths about, like, you know, a female lead can't open a movie, and then you have, you know, Captain Marvel that just made $1 billion, you know, an all black cast, and you can't, you know, and then you have Black Panther, and, you know, with our movie as well, I think that these movies are just kind of breaking those ideas that and just kind of opening people's minds a little bit, because I think that's what people want to see. I think people do want to see diversity. I think it's just that fear of just kind of like, just moving on.
Yeah, I think people always worry that it's just going to be like, it's this part of the world, we're just going to mix everything together, but it was very consciously taken.
Very conscious, absolutely, yeah. And very specific, very detailed, even with my character and kind of, you know, the background and the history, that was all thought about, even in my costume, to then create this world that we created.
So let's talk about Nasim, because I don't think we're having enough of that conversation about how amazing of a comedian she is. So how was your guys' interplay, and how much improvisation were you guys able to do?
Nasim, did you say?
Pedrad, yeah.
Oh, Nasim. I thought you said the singing.
The singing.
And then I was like,
well, I want to talk about that too.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Oh, Nasim. I could talk about Nasim for.
Let's do it.
Nasim brought more to this character than I think anyone could have even dreamed. She's a talented writer. She's got her own show. She's a complete boss lady. And for me, she's so hilarious. She improv'd so much on this movie. And Guy the brilliant thing about Guy is he just gives us space to do things. And for me, me and Nasim are very close friends now, and we really wanted that to show on screen in terms of that feeling of when you're laughing or you're you're with your best friend and you're it's inappropriate to laugh, but that makes you want to laugh even more. Just those little moments of them feeling like they're just so comfortable with each other, because I think it's really important that she had another female energy to bounce off of. Obviously you've got the genie in Aladdin. I think it's very important that she, as much as we love Raja, she can't just have a tiger. And then of course I just love the love story between her and the genie and how that evolves. It's really great. And also the fact that she has a bit of a different perspective to Jasmine. I think that's great as well, because she's not that person that just tells you what you want to hear. You know, they're very clearly very honest with each other as well. So I think she killed it. I really do, right?
She's very funny.
She's brilliant.
Yeah, excellent.
My favorite is when she goes, when she's like, just act natural, ha 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 ha. That's one of my favorite parts of the movie. Love her.
Just the line deliveries, you can tell she's just adding
she's a comic, that's what she does. She's on point.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much.
So nice to meet you.
Nice to meet
Thank
you as well.
you, William.
Take care.